Hi guys, it's Elena from Financialdemics, where I give you the tips and tools to manage your money, increase your savings and your income, and decrease your debt. And today we are talking all about the stimulus package and how you should spend your check. So if you're looking to get your money right and build a strong financial foundation, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss another one of my weekly uploads. So the CARES Act was passed Friday, March 27th of 2020. And that is basically what put the stimulus payment into action, and basically guaranteed that we're going to get it, especially if you are a U.S. citizen with a Social Security number. So if you were wondering about the structure of the payments, the first thing that you need to know is that, first of all, you do need a Social Security number. This act does not cover those who have an I-10. So if you just have an identification number and not an actual social, then you will not receive the stimulus payment. The stimulus is going to pay out $1,200 for each individual. And if you're married, then you get $2,400, which still makes sense because it's 1,200 times 2. And then it is $500 for each child under the age of 17, which actually corresponds with the earned income credit. Once the child is 17, you don't get the credit anymore if you qualify. Now, there are some stipulations to that $1,200. You cannot make over a certain amount of income. So if you're single and you make under $75,000 a year, then you will get $1,200. But if you make more than $75,000 and less than $99,000, then the amount that you're going to receive is going to be reduced based on a sliding scale. And just to let y'all know, I was sent a calculator that will help you estimate what your stimulus payment will be. So I'll go ahead and link that down below just in case you were wondering where you fall with your income based on, especially if you make over the amount that they've given for the full amount. Now, if you're single and you make over $99,000, then you're not eligible. And remember, when I'm saying single, that means you don't have kids, because if you do have kids, you should be filing your taxes as head of household, which means your numbers are a little bit different. So if you file head of household on your tax return, then as long as you make under $112,500, then you should receive $1,200 for yourself and then $500 for each child that you filed on your return. And that's how they are going to judge how many kids to pay you out for. But if you made more than $112,500 but less than $136,500, then the amount that you would receive would be reduced on a similar sliding scale. So that $1,200 amount would be reduced, and then you still would receive the $500 for each child under 17. And of course, anything over that $136,500 would make you ineligible to receive the stimulus. So if you file married filing jointly, then you will receive $2,400 if you made under $150,000. If you made more than $150,000 though, but less than $198,000, then it will be reduced also. And then of course you still get $500 for each child. And I will say that the calculator I mentioned earlier is really good. So check out that calculator below if you have any questions, especially if you're one of those people who are going to end up on the sliding scale. It really gives you a good estimate of how much you will receive. Let's talk about the tax returns that they're going to use to actually determine how much you should receive. So if you have already filed your 2019 tax return, then they are going to use that tax return to determine how much you will receive for the stimulus. But if you have not filed your 2019 tax return yet, which could be a lot of people because now they have extended the deadline to July 15th along with the deadline to pay. So there could be many people who have not filed their tax return yet for 2019. So they're going to go back and look at the 2018 tax return and use that in order to determine how much you should receive for your stimulus payment. Now, if you have not filed your 2019 taxes yet, you don't necessarily need to go and rush and file them. I would say it depends on your situation, right? So, unless you had a baby in 2019, or if you made less money that would actually qualify you for the stimulus payment in 2019, then I would say go ahead and file your taxes so that they will have that information on file and you would get the payment that you are looking to receive. Now, if you have not filed taxes for 2018 or 2019, I'm going to need you to go ahead and file your 2018 taxes because that is what they're going to use to determine how much you're going to receive. And if you have not filed, they won't have the information that they need in order to pay you out. I will also say, if you made more money in 2019 than you made in 2018, do not go and rush and file your taxes yet. Let them use 2018 because you may put yourself in a position where you no longer qualify, which is why I went into those numbers. So make sure you check out on your tax return where you fail. You can look at your adjusted gross income on your return. That is the number that they're going to be using to determine whether or not you are in the eligibility range to receive a stimulus payment. Now, one thing that just came out on March 30th was more clarification on people who receive Social Security or who normally don't make enough money to even be required to file taxes. Now, the IRS dropped some information and they basically said that you will need to file a simple tax return in order to receive payment if you normally don't have to file. So I'll drop the link to where they talked about that at. As far as the simple tax return, don't have much information on that yet. I'm assuming it's just your regular 1040 easy, but I don't know because there's so many changes that has happened. And so when I get more information, I'll let you know. So there has been a lot of conversation around how the payments will be sent. So they have been talking about sending the payments out by direct deposit. So that's the information that you use when you filed your return, or else they were going to send it out by check. But I have seen some clarity on the same article that I'm going to link below from the IRS that states that they will be creating a web portal in order for you to update your direct deposit information just in case that has changed, or if you don't want your payment being sent to you by check, or if you're in a situation where maybe you received like a refund advance loan, or you had your tax prep fees taken out of your refund, which normally involves a bank. And so their information is normally on your tax return. And if you don't mind getting your stimulus check by mail and you've moved in the last year, you could do one or two things. Long as you don't have any big differences in your 2019 taxes, you can go ahead and file your 2019 taxes with your new address if you haven't already, or you can fill out form 8822, and that is the change of address form for the IRS. I shall also mention that the IRS said in the same article that they will be sending out payments all year. So yes, they're going to roll out payments in the next 3 weeks they'll be rolling out the payments. But if you don't get it like right this moment, and of course if you need it, then do what you got to do to get your payment now, but you still will be able to get your payment if you don't get it in this first round. So if you still need to file your taxes, need to change your address, things like that, they're going to be sending out payments this whole year, they stated. So just know that if you don't get it done like tomorrow, it's not that you're not going to get a payment. You will still get your payment. Just make sure you get your stuff updated so that you can get it. But don't feel like you have to do it by this week or you're not going to get a payment. That's not how it works. I know there's been a lot of conversation about the payment being in advance on a 2020 credit. And a lot of questions about how that affects people, especially those who typically owe. And so I checked out the bill, y'all. I ain't read all 1,800 pages, but I do have access to the bill just like you did. And I checked out what it said about this advance credit. And it took a little minute. I mean, it didn't, but it did take a little minute just because I really wanted to make sure that I tell you the correct information when I talked about this today. So this is basically what they said about this advance credit in the bill. This payment is in advance of a 2020 tax credit. So you will have to report it on your taxes, but you will receive credit for the entire amount on your taxes. So basically, they're saying it should basically zero out. So you're saying, yes, I did receive this stimulus payment, and I received, if you're single, no kids, under 75,000, I received $1,200. And then you should receive a credit in the same amount. So it basically should not put you in a higher tax bracket because you're basically going to zero out on this income that you have received. And what I thought was funny is that they mentioned that if it doesn't zero out, it's a mathematical mistake. So basically it should zero out on your taxes. Let's now get into like how you gonna spend your money. Like, what are you gonna do with your money? Okay, no, seriously, let me be serious. So how are you planning to use your money? Let me know in the comments below what your plans are for your stimulus payment. So remember how I feel about personal finances. It is personal. So depending on your situation though, I do have some ideas of how you can handle your stimulus payment. If you unfortunately currently do not have a job or not receiving a paycheck, if you were furloughed by your company due to this pandemic, then you should definitely use this check to help cover your four walls. So what I mean by that, if it covers your rent, then that's great. If that's something to help cover your rent, food, utilities, those things that you really need. Basic clothing is normally included in those things, but at this point, I feel like nobody's really going anywhere unless you're an essential employee. So you may not need to spend money on clothing, but you may, just depending on your situation. So just try to cover the things that are really necessities at this point. And remember, I said in my last video that this is a good time to determine what you really need to pay for and what could go. So it's a great time to start canceling some stuff you don't necessarily need in order to keep your expenses low, especially if you're not working at the moment and you're not getting paid. If you have the privilege of working from home, so you're still receiving a paycheck, so it depends on whether or not you actually have a savings or not, really. So you could have like some money saved, because I know a lot of people, their goals for 2020 was to get their emergency fund saved up, and your girl Rona done just straight up like slowed everybody's financial goals down. So if that was something that you were working towards and you're still getting a paycheck, then it's a good time to go ahead and just put that in your stockpile. Like save that in your emergency fund, because we don't know at this point how long this is going to go on. Hopefully not for a long time. I'm really hoping this is done uh, in the next month or so. And I said this last video, so I'm really hoping it's done in the next month. But let's say summertime. Um, so we're not sure how this is going to keep going. So go ahead and put that in your stockpile, especially if you do not have a lot of money saved and you're still trying to get to that point where you have at least 3 to 6 months of savings. Go ahead and save your money, because you may need that later. If you're working and you have a fully funded emergency fund, well, you have options. So if you have some debt, maybe you could pay off some of your debt if that's something that you were looking to achieve. You could still save it if you want to, right? Definitely could still save it. You could learn about investing and invest it. And the reason why I say learn is because you definitely want to make sure that you have an idea of what you're doing, and it's a good time right now to, learn how to invest in the stock market. Or you can even invest in another stream of income. I would say if you were looking to increase your streams of income, I would start looking for a recession-proof business to start. That is a way that you could increase your streams of income and know that no matter what is going on with the economy, people still have to pay for whatever you're offering. One of the best things that I could tell you to do, and you could split this money between one of the other options and this, is to maybe help out those who are in need. There are a lot of people right now who have currently lost their income, and they're really just trying to make sure that they can keep a roof over their head and food on their table. And so if there's somebody that you know who is currently struggling, then you could use some of your payment to help them in their household. And I'm not saying you have to give away your whole payment, but maybe you buy somebody groceries, and you don't even have to take it to them. There's a lot of people still working, and so maybe you send it by Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods or Instacart or Ship. There's so many ways you can help people, or maybe you just ask them over the phone, what bill you want me to cover for you right now, to just take a little stress off your plate. And if they tell you, hey, maybe you could give me $100 towards my rent, or hey, maybe you could cover my electric bill, my gas bill, my water bill, something like that, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who would be blessed by you using your stimulus payment, since you don't necessarily need it, in order to help them get through this rough time. So if this video was helpful for you, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, and go ahead and hit subscribe too, because you stuck around this long, you liked the video. Go ahead and hang out with us over here, and I will see you next week with an all new video. Bye.